Welcome to Board Play. My name is Jay, and today I'll be walking you through Fantasy Flight's Star Wars Imperial Assault Rebel Trooper Allies pack. I'm using paints from both Vallejo and Army Painter. I've primed the model in gray with a white zenithal highlights. First, I'll be starting with the shirt. I'm using Void Shield Blue as is a good color to match. I like to thin my paints, so I'm adding just a drop of water to apply to the miniature. I suggest applying 2 coats to make sure you preserve detail in the miniature and you have a good looking paint job. Now that I've completed applying 2 coats to the shirt, allowing 5 to 10 minutes of dry time in between, we're going ahead and move on to the pants. Here I'm using uniform gray to apply to the pants, thinned out with a little bit of water. You want to make sure your paint is not too thin, but enough that it adheres to the miniature and looks pretty good. Remember, we're doing multiple coats, building up the paint job, giving it a very good appearance. Now that I've completed the pants, we're going to go ahead and move on to the face and hands using barbarian flesh. To preserve the detail in the face, like I said, thin coats. Multiple coats are the best way to build up your model so that it can actually pop right there on the game board. You notice I put an X there to make sure I keep my miniature in camera view. I always find the face a little hard at times, but as you see, I'm just applying the paint, the barbarian flesh directly to the face. Not too worried about the chin straps. I will come back later and take care of that. I made a mistake there, and I'm cleaning up my mess by cleaning off the brush with a little dampness. I'm able to remove some of that paint. Now I'm going back and working on the hands. Same thing, applying a coat at a time, taking care of mine not to put any on the gun, but if I do make mistakes, we can paint over that. Coming back and applying the second coat to the face. Really liking how this model is turning out at this time. Tinting coats preserve the detail, and it looks good. Now moving on to the boot and vest, I'm using Vallejo Black. The Vallejo Black is thin by nature, so I don't really need to add any water to thin it out. This black takes to the model very well, and I end up using just one to two coats. Now, I like my boots to look polished. That sheen is something I really like to see on the board. But if you want to give the effect of worn boots that have been out in the field, a simple wash over the black would give it a muted look. But for me, I like it just the way it is. Now that we finished with the boots, we'll move on to the jacket. Oh, excuse me, this vest. Keeping in mind not to hit the blue lapels of the shirt that stick right above the vest. This black takes to the model very well. I'm really pleased with it. Minding to be careful not to hit the shirt at anywhere along the sleeves. But if I mess up, we could come back and cover it with some blue. These models took me a little bit of time to do, this being the first of the 3 that I started to work on. And I really took my time with this one here. Really wanted to make sure I preserved the details and distribute the paint very evenly. I didn't want it to look too gaudy, and tried to minimize in my mistakes. It was a real challenge to get the inside of that jacket without ruining the shirt, but I was able to. Now with the vest done, we'll move on to the helmet. Now here I am using just white from Army Painter. The spirit white is pretty good, but I found it to be a little more chalky than I desired. And eventually I switched to Vallejo white, which gave me a little bit more polished look to it. I don't use any satin paints when I'm painting. I believe that I rely on my satin varnish to bring out more of a glow or a sheen to my miniatures. So very rarely do I use glossy or even just the flat varnish or matte varnish, I should say. Now, something I do off camera that you don't notice, I paint the antenna headset on the helmet a machine metal gray, silver, I should say, and I felt like that was just a good way to accent it. It is the same paint that I use on the tip of the gun, and you'll see that later in the video. Now that we completed the helmet, I'm going on to the gun. Keeping in mind being careful of the hands and leaving the front of the gun, the tip, unpainted and reserved for my machine or gunmetal. Now we're working on the visor of the helmet. Just simply using the black here. And the black has such a nice gloss, so we'll make it actually pop pretty well. So. Now that I've applied all my base colors to my model and finished off with accents to the antenna of the helmet and to the tip of the gun, I am now getting ready to wash the model in the Agrath Earth shade from Citadel Paints. This wash I prefer over others. This takes to the model so much better and causes the crevices to really stand out. Now, I don't use a lot of this shade, this wash, but I like to move it around and fill the crevices. So I encourage you can add a lot or a little, but make sure you fill in those recesses so they can really just stand out. As I'm doing this, you can see the folds in the pants just come to life, as well as the gun holster gives more definition as I apply the wash to it. And I like that when you apply the wash to a light brown or a regular brown, it does give it that aged and tanned look to it. Periodically you want to clean your brush to make sure you just having fresh. Some people do it. I might do it more than others, but I like to keep my brush fresh. Applying more to the earth shade to the model just to get it to pop. Right there in the crevices, and yeah, move it around. Don't let it pool in too many areas on the face, but just so details could come out, so you could see the eyes and the nose. And I just move that wash around until I get it to the way I want it to look. And there you have it. Star Wars Imperial Assault's Rebel Trooper. Done with just base colors and a wash. Ready for your game. Have fun, guys.